Hello YouTubers and welcome to Novus Talks with me, your host Novus Corvius. And I've completely done this video right on the spot simply because I just came across some information while scrolling around online that actually gave me a fair amount to talk about for video and about a game actually. So following on from my last video where I talked about the Slender Man movie, I mentioned at the end about how the rights were at Sony in Mythology Entertainment and how Mythology no longer existed. And then I was like, you know, I would hope that one day, since Sony probably don't want to make another movie, that the rights would get shipped elsewhere so someone else could make another movie or that another game might get made. Even though I think Blue Isle Studios and Parsec can still have the rights to make games if they want to, I'm not sure, but the point is, I brought up the idea that I would like to see another game and another movie get made. And I came across something online, as you can see by the title of this video, in relation to a game. So this information completely flew under the radar. But before I want to go into it, I do want to bring up one other thing. Obviously, people are not going to know about what I'm going to talk about here, because I barely even know about it myself. But on top of that, about 2 to 3 months before the Slender Man movie released, Sony also released a book about Slender Man. There's an unknown author. It's not connected to the movie, but it's in the same universe. And the book is actually fairly scary and pretty disturbing and creepy at times, and it's really enjoyable, and I highly recommend it to anyone who's either interested in the Slender Man lore or who liked what they saw in the movie or just wants something really creepy to read. The book is definitely a good chance for that. But the reason I bring that up is because obviously the book released, and I don't think many people knew there even was a book. I certainly didn't until I came across it. Because when Sony and Mythology bought the rights to Slender Man from Eric Knudsen in 2016, they had bought the rights, I believe, so they could make movies and games. Even though I know I said earlier I'm not sure what the whole status around game development is, but for games, TV shows and anything like that, if they wanted to make those. But getting into the point of it anyway, while I was looking around online, I came across a game called, I came across the name Slender the Awakening, and upon research into it, this was apparently an actual game in development by Mythology Entertainment. I'm going to let that sink in for a minute. There was a third Slender game in development by Mythology, who had released the movie and the book. I know you're probably latching on to the way the word was in that sentence. I'm just going to read out what I have here about it. Obviously, I'll have the article displayed here, and I'll even link it below because this is really fascinating and there's a lot to talk about here. So I'll get right into it. So it begins with, when is the last time you heard the title Slender in a video game? For most of you, it may have been in 2012 or 2013 when Slender Man was a very popular trope in gaming. But with the movie on the horizon, an official game reboot following it, it's only a matter of time before the character becomes popular again. Slender the Awakening is an upcoming psychological horror video game being developed by Darkwood Productions in association with Mythology Entertainment. It is the official video game adaptation of the original version of Slender Man, created with Something Awful Form June 2009. What they mean by that is basically, even though like Slender the Arrival and Slender the Pages were official, they were more, obviously the Arrival was written by the crew behind Marble Hornets, so that was probably more closely linked to what Marble Hornets lore had established about the character. Whereas this game, I think, was going more so with only the bits of information that were given through the original images and stuff. You play as a paranormal investigator looking into several mysterious disappearances across the US linked to a malevolent entity, Slender Man. The further you go into investigation, the deeper you fall into his clutches. Will you uncover the truth about his origins and intentions, or will you fall victim to his wrath? The Awakening brings back old features, introduces new features. These features include a $20 mode, a Marble Hornets mode from the 8 pages, and a scrapbook feature from the Arrival. The Awakening introduces a new feature, a horror multiplayer experience titled Slender Online. Unlike other multiplayer experiences such as in Dead by Daylight or Friday the 13th, the game Slender Online does not allow you to play as an enemy. All players are known as runners and must attempt to survive as long as possible. The Awakening releases for Windows and Mac on June 10th, 2019, and for consoles sometime thereafter. Information we're going to... So yeah, the game was set for a June 2019 release. Obviously right off the bat, we're all completely blown away. Mythology were somewhat involved in making a Slender game. I'm going to go elsewhere here as well. I found, I think it was on the Slender Wiki actually, or Slenderman fandom wikis, where I found some of the information. Bear with me here now, guys. Oh yeah, on the UnrealEngine.com there was a listing brought up as well for a development team needed, as you can see here. Slender the Awakening development team needed. Same listing. Okay, so I'll just read a story thing here. The Awakening revolves around a tall, thin, horrifying figure who is reputed for responsible for haunting disappearance of countless children and teens. Players control a paranormal investigator. The story centers on an unwitting participant in the Slenderman mythos, whom walks into a mystery that just keeps pulling him deeper. Powering up his camcorder, the investigator takes off in search of evidence, but unbeknownst to him, something ancient and otherworldly is stalking him every step of the way. Features, survivors, spine-chilling horror gameplay with a deep story, more clues to discover and decipher, using nothing more than a flashlight and camcorder. Jobs. We are currently looking for anyone interested in joining us to make The Awakening. Below you can find a list of available roles on the game's development team. Gameplay programmer, AI programmer, game artist, sound designer, composer, graphic designer, quality assurance, writer, modder, and voice actor. Contact developer at slenderdev@gmail.com. So that was posted in 2017, I believe, May 2017. So at this point in time, before the movie came out, almost a year before the movie came out, the game was well into development, and it seemed like it was all going well. So now we get into the issue of what exactly happened. That's the same article here. Okay. I'm trying to find the wiki site here, so bear with me here a minute while I find exactly what I'm looking for here. I think it was on the Slenderman fandom wiki. But anyway, the developer, basically, I don't know what he goes by, just Slender Dev. He is an independent developer, and he was making this game on his own. He was posting on the Slenderman wiki all the different things, different updates about the game and things like that. And what happened was, a lot of the trouble around the game, as you can imagine, came from legality issues, because the rights to Slenderman are complicated. Sony and Mythology, even though Mythology don't exist anymore, so the rights, the current ownership of the rights there is up in the air, but it's within Sony's territory, the rights for films and TVs, and I guess they've some hand in games as well. But I don't know, apparently Parsec and them all have hands in the rights, because Eric still has rights. I don't really know, it's a very complicated thing, but I don't think Sony have full control over the character, because it seems to me that it's partially public domain. But basically, the developer Slender Dev had to get in contact with Parsec a lot, and they'd confirmed to him that they weren't planning on making a third game soon, which is unfortunate, and I guess we're not going to get an Arrival sequel. But that allowed him to go ahead with his game, and they allowed him to make the game, but he ran into issues, I think, with assets and modeling and things like this with Blue Isle, I believe. But the point is, there was a lot of back and forth between the studios and this indie dev about, I guess, the legal situation again. And basically, he got really stressed out about it, and he just abandoned the game about a year or so before its release, which is really disheartening in a way, because even though this wasn't a sequel, it's an indirect sequel, it says, but even though this wouldn't have been the game we were expecting, it still would have been great to see Slenderman emerge in the game. And imagine if the game had come out, you know, we would have had a movie, a book, and a game all under Mythology Entertainment, and it would have felt a bit more complete, like. But what I'm going to share with you now is some of the images up here on the website from the game, and it looks really good. The first of this is concept art, I guess, of Slenderman, what he would have looked like in this game. As you can see here, what can I say? They made the suit look like an actual suit, okay. I like what they did with the hands, but the rest of him looks... His lower body just looks completely weird compared to his upper half. It does kind of resemble the movie version of Slenderman a lot more than, let's say, the traditional image of Slenderman, but it just looks really weird. There's like gold buttons and stuff on his suit. There's also this other one that's just a closer up of his torso. I'm not too gone on this design. I mean, if we'd seen it in game, that might have changed, but I do like how slender they made him. It does look more reminiscent of the movie. So I like that. The head design with all the different lines, I guess it just kind of looks like... It kind of reminds me of the crystal skull from Indiana Jones, actually. I can't believe I'm making that comparison, but that's what it looks like. Moving on, we've got actual images of what the world would have looked like. Right here we have a hallway and the players holding a torch. Right away, I'm getting big vibes of The Evil Within 2 from this. I don't know how many of you agree with me there, but from what I can see here, it does look really, really quite crisp. I know it was made on Unreal, I believe. I'm not sure if The Arrival was, but as you can see, it does look really nice, and I can imagine, I suppose, even though I just basically talked shit about the model, if you imagine seeing Slenderman appearing in that hallway, it probably would startle you. But the more we go through these images, like, look at this. It looks so, like, detailed in a way the previous two games, well, I guess The Arrival mainly, in a way The Arrival never was. And the more I see it, the more it hurts that we haven't gotten a third game, or that we probably never will. Here's my favorite image of the one on the website, is a view of an upstairs sort of balcony. And look at how just nice this looks. It's obviously really dark, and that's the point, but that definitely had potential to create a really dark atmosphere, and one where you could be constantly checking over your shoulder in fear. I just really like how this map design looked. The world looked really interesting, to say the least, but for some reason we never got to see that. And this is just another view of the hallway. Again, big Evil Within 2 vibes I'm getting from this. But so it's very interesting to see like what this game was going to be. I think that's that is a, and it's a tragedy. Mythology don't exist anymore, so even if the dev wanted to go ahead with the game again, he wouldn't. I don't think he'd be able to, because Mythology don't exist anymore. So who would he go to with his plan for a game? And Parsec and Blue Isle don't want to make another game. I don't know why. I guess they feel that they don't have anything else to tell or explore, but at the very least, the Arrival could have been expanded upon over the years. Since it's been ported to so many consoles, you'd think there would have been updates and DLC, but no, they've never done anything like that. And I don't know why the Marble Hornets team, like Troy, doesn't. Well, obviously he would have been with the writing, so the game would have had to have been in development beforehand. But I don't know why Troy doesn't go ahead with making a game, even though Marble Hornets tries to dissociate itself from Slender Man by calling their villain the Operator, but it's basically the same thing. It's, Troy could easily put something together, I imagine, or organize it together, but maybe he probably doesn't feel a game is in his interest at the moment, which, fair enough. He's got his own projects going on with the Marble Hornets comic series at the moment. So, fair enough with that. I guess that's a good enough reason. But, I don't know, Parsec are back to practically done with Slenderman. They're focusing on other projects. And Blue Isle are currently focused on their game Citadel Forged with Fire. So, the realm of Slenderman in video games, official Slenderman games, is about more dead than the movies at this point. And I don't know why, he seems to have fallen into this curse. The Arrival was a huge success. People's only major complaint was that it was short and repetitive, and they could have easily updated that with loads of DLC throughout the years to make a longer experience, but I don't know why. I mean, I imagine because the whole real life crime things that have been happening over the years. In fact, there was only a crime there like a month or two ago about someone hiding a body in a closet with Slenderman pages or something. But again, I imagine that might have had a factor in it, that they don't want to associate themselves with it, or maybe on top of them not having the creativity to want to make another one. But enough time has passed. With a movie and a book out, we should be getting more stuff, you'd think. The only other... I mean, it's funny that I mentioned the movie in the last one and the game in this. If I do another video and if I find something about a TV series, this will make for an interesting triptych of videos. But I don't know, Slenderman is in really odd ground in terms of media at the moment. Because as I just mentioned about the games, the movie rights, completely up in the air. They could make more books. They could do a whole book series and that would be successful. I don't know if the book sold that well, but it definitely has really good reviews. I don't know why they don't continue in that direction for the time being. Maybe they're working something behind the scenes, but I honestly have no idea. A TV series, I guess they wouldn't go ahead with that for the same reason that they were afraid of marketing the movie. And obviously, with a series, people would be comparing it to Marble Hornets and Everyman Hybrid and Tribe 12 and so on. So obviously there is that kind of side to it. But as Slender the Awakening was going to brought up, Sony and I guess more so Mythology would be the more correct people to refer to here. Mythology were focusing more on sort of what the original images were establishing. Because think about what you know about Slenderman. Most of that stuff comes from Marble Hornets. Or at least spawned off of ideas that came from ideas in Marble Hornets. The ideas of proxies and things like this spawned off of concepts that were introduced in Marble Hornets and Tribe 12 and Everyman Hybrid. So the original ideas around Slenderman obviously have been pushed back. So it's interesting that they wanted to go in that direction and take the character in a weirdly new but also familiar route. And they really should do something. There is potential here for them to explore further, and it's, as I said, it's disheartening because Slenderman is a character that has so much potential, even though people will say he's been done to death a million times by the 70 million fan games, the all the YouTube series and stuff, the Marble Hornets movie, the Sony's movie. You know, there's a lot of material out there, but still, there is potential to put a unique spin on it, but I don't know why, because Slenderman is a horror icon at this point that has gained the attention of probably 2 generations. And he is, in the internet age, what Freddy Krueger and the other slashers were in the 80s. And he had the potential of having that impact on the big screen if the movie had been done in a better way. Even though I love the movie, but if it had been done in a more, I guess, honest way, we would have, things would have gone a bit differently. So, with no indication of any other media, with the Mythology's official Slenderman game being cancelled, what happens now? Will someone else pick up the game? Will another game get made in place of The Awakening? Your guess is as best as mine, honestly. It's really hard to say, but Slenderman's appearance is much like the character himself. Every time we think we've forgotten about him or we think he's long gone, he crops up in some form. We got him in the movie, we got him in a book, and there was a game in development. And obviously, you know, he's get mentioned around in different TV shows and stuff throughout the years, but he is a character that crops up every time you think you've forgotten about him. And I'm pretty sure I said this exact same thing at the end of my Slenderman review and about the sequel video I did, but he is a character that, you know, you can't kill him. You can't kill a good thing, and the popularity of this character, while significantly sized down from what it was, is still out there, and the interest for Slenderman related material will always be there. So we haven't seen the last of this character. He will crop up again, hopefully sooner rather than later, but whether it's in the form of a new YouTube series by some guys that turns out to be really popular, or whether it's an official adaptation or a Slender the Arrival extension or a new game, it's completely up in the air. It can go in any directions, as I said, but rest assured, we haven't seen the last of Slenderman. He is always there and always will be there. And I think that's a nice humbling note to end this on. I just want to add one last thing on top of that is I am really thrilled that I get to talk about Slenderman again lately, because obviously coming up to the movie I got really interested into the character and more involved with it than I was with any other creepypasta character before. I've become really obsessed with the lore. I just finished Marble Hornets recently. I bought the movie and the 2 comics. So Slenderman's a character that I really enjoy experiencing throughout all his different incarnations, and he's definitely something that has influenced and taken over a part of my life in some way in that regard. I mean, he appears in my dreams so often, it kind of feels like a parallel to the book sometimes. But so being able to do that last video about the deleted scenes from the movie, I felt really happy doing that, because I never thought I'd be talking about the movie again on this channel. I never thought I'd get to even see that amount of detail about what was removed from the movie. And being able to do this, finding out there was a game, completely blows my mind and gave me another reason to bring up Slenderman. So I am really happy that I've got to do this again, and it might not be the last time I bring him up in this channel. Maybe, who knows, maybe another year or so from now, another conversation will have to be brought up about the character. On that last note though, if you guys want, I can do a review of the book if you're interested. Let me know down in the comment sections below. I've read the book twice. I'd gladly read over it again. It is really enjoyable, but if you want to see my thoughts on it, and if you want to know what it's about and things like that, let me know, because I'd gladly do another video on this character. But yeah, as I said, I'm going to wrap it up there. That is all I have to talk about in this video. Let me know down in the comment section below. What do you think of all this news? Have you just heard about it right now as I have? What do you think of all the screenshots of what the gameplay would have been like? What do you think of the model for Slender Man? Of the plot of the game? Do you think it would have been good? Are you disappointed the game got cancelled? Or are you unhappy and probably wanted something else? Do you think we'll see another Slender Man game or some update to the Arrival or something like that? And do you think we'll get another movie or a book? Any thoughts you have whatsoever, let me know down in the comment section below, and I will be happy to engage with you all. On the final note, again, I know I've said that a few times, I'll review the comics, and I will probably review the Marvel Hornets movie when I get them as well, just for the sake of talking about this character once more. But yeah, anyway, I've dragged this out for a bit. It's a bad habit of mine. I'm going to leave it there. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and please subscribe. Novus Corvus out.